Hi and welcome to Reformation Church History Online with QTC. My name's Andrew Bain. I'll be your lecturer for this unit. There's also some other staff who will introduce on Moodle who'll be helping with different aspects of your time in this unit. I'm really excited, I hope you are too, about spending a whole semester looking at this critical period in church history. In studying or starting to study a unit like this one, I think it's really important to have clear in our minds what are the reasons why what we're studying is important. That can help us to stay motivated as we travel through the semester, and particularly as we approach some of the more challenging parts of our time, such as the assessments. There's 4 reasons why I think this unit particularly, and this period, is really critical for us to study today. Firstly, this was a time when God did a great work, when the Lord worked to bring millions of people who didn't know Him to trust in His gospel and come into a saving relationship with His Son. And also millions more people were given the opportunity to hear gospel-centred preaching based on the Bible in the 16th century. So that's the first, I think, really critical reason why it's important to study this period, to learn about these things and to be encouraged by one of the great works that God has done in the last 2,000 years. Secondly, seeing how God's word worked in a different place and a different time to our own can be quite useful for understanding how the work of the kingdom goes forward in the real world that we actually live in, a world that's filled with all kinds of factors, social, political, economic and cultural, as we study how the work of the kingdom happened, how the church lived and functioned in another time with all these kind of factors affecting it, working around it. It can help us to better understand how the work of the kingdom can go forward in a world today where political factors, economic factors, cultural factors can be quite important too. So I hope in studying this time of the Reformation, it helps us to think better about how we can serve and do ministry today. Thirdly, in studying any period of church history, we can do 2 things. We can learn both from the wisdom of those who've gone before us, and we can also learn from the mistakes, even the sinful behaviours of those that have gone before us too. The Reformation is a period where we've got plenty of both of these things in abundance, heaps of wisdom to learn from, but also a period in which, tragically, some big mistakes were made too, that we can and we should learn from as we think about ministry today. Lastly, the theology of the Reformation period is really useful to learn about. This was the time, probably the time above all times the last 2,000 years, where a biblical and gospel-shaped understanding of theology and of the Christian life was rediscovered. And not only rediscovered, but written about by many people in ways that were particularly clear and helpful. And therefore, in this unit, this semester, we'll spend a lot of time looking at the history of the period, the what happened and why, but we'll also spend a lot of time looking at the thinking or the theology of key people from this time. We'll look at some of their ideas, we'll look at some of the debates that came up, we'll also look at some key works or writings from the 16th century that are helpful in this way. In so doing, I hope that you find it an encouraging experience as you read their writings. I also hope that it's helpfully informative for you as you read some of the greatest works of theology ever written, or read some samples from those works at least, and as you reflect together with others in the class on how what you're reading might inform your thinking today about the Christian faith, and also our thinking today about how we live together, how we do church, how we apply the truths of the Bible. This is also an important part of the course when it comes to the assessments. Your first 2 assessments, the 2 small primary document assignments that you have to do, are looking at writings from the time. And I've deliberately chosen some things for you to read and to write briefly on for your first 2 assignments that are designed to introduce you to some examples of great theology from the Reformation period. You won't always agree with what's written, but I think the pieces that you'll look at for those assignments will encourage you and help you as you reflect in very positive ways. As we start the semester, just a quick word about how to approach the unit. One thing I want to say to you up front is if you're having any difficulties at all with the unit, if there are any things that you don't understand, especially when it comes to the assessments, I'd encourage you to be in touch with me or to be in touch with the other college staff that are listed on the Moodle site. We're very keen to help you. And often what might become a major problem for you as the assessment deadlines get closer, we could perhaps solve very easily if we talk about it, particularly if we talk about it early on in the piece. So please be in touch with us if you've got any difficulties or questions. In the meantime, most of the things you'll need to know for the unit are available on the Moodle site. I encourage you to spend a lot of time there, particularly in the first couple of weeks of the unit. And again, don't be afraid to be in touch with me or to be in touch with Annette for resourcing questions, for Belinda with questions you might have about Moodle, with Ted Brennan, our registrar, for questions you might have about your enrolment or the mechanics of your assessments, if you've got any questions at all about this unit. And I look forward to spending a semester with you as we learn about this really critical and exciting time in church history.